Uh, Welcome to the September 2024 edition of the Authors Showcase Series, presented by the South Florida Writers Association, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote literary arts and support writers. Today's guest is Laura M. Ramirez. She is a journalist, bilingual writer, best-selling author of Passion of Life in Spanish, university professor, elementary school tutor, and founder of Coaching for Life Goals Academy, the Life with Purpose podcast, and the Camino Press. Thank you so much for joining us, Laura.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Definitely. And this is the South Florida Writers Association. Maybe we could start off. You tell us when you first realized you were a writer.
Yeah, I first realized I was a writer later on in my life, but I started writing when I was 6. What I mean by that is that sometimes you start things and you don't know that they are part of you. So writing now that I'm older, I realize that it's always been with me. Writing it's been with me since I was 6, 7 when I started writing my first poem, then my first song. Then I moved to another country and I just wrote my life out. And later on I said, "Oh, look, I'm a writer. I'm a writer." And when I moved from New York to Miami, which was my case, I started with the engineering career. I didn't find the same kind of program in Miami, so I said, "Well, the next thing I can do is write." So I went back to writing, and I that's how I became a journalist.
You're a bilingual writer. You write in English and Spanish.
Yes,
Is are there different challenges, different approaches you take with each language?
absolutely. Absolutely. When I was writing for El Nuevo Herald, my editors told me, "You have your English in your head." When I was writing for the English editor, he's like, "You have your Spanish in your head." So it's been a constant struggle. Struggle is a kind of strong word. It's been a constant trying to become better and better and better each time, because when I was writing in Spanish, I always thought in English and vice versa. So in front of my editors, it was always like, "Okay, Laura, where are you now? Are you in Spanish or are you in English?" So that's been, I personally, that's been my, it's been in my head all the time. Yeah.
And
And
what did you
continue to
write?
this day. Mhm.
What did you write about for El Nuevo Herald?
I had
What
a
was your
column.
subject?
Yeah, I had a column. I graduated from the University of Miami with a master's degree in print journalism, and I started writing for El Nuevo Herald when in my head I had English, but I had to translate it again and go back to Spanish.
Mm.
So they said, "Okay, you can write a column on the community, the immigrants that come to the United States and how they make it here, how they start with their children." So I had it was called Abriéndose Camino, like opening the ways. And each day I dealt with immigration, I dealt with medicine, like what kind of doctors am I go and medical companies I'm going to call to say, "Oh, I'm an immigrant, I have no money, where do I take my children?" Or even myself. Technology, education. So each day I had a topic to deal with. And so I had contacts and I called contacts and what can my people do to move forward. So I had that for El Nuevo Herald and also for travel section. I wrote about Bogota, Colombia, Buenos Aires, Argentina. I wrote about London, England, different articles. Then when I worked for Neighbors, it was the community. It was, police cases and what's going on, programs in the community for children, and that kind of thing.
Is there a story you're most proud of?
No, all of them are.
Okay,
All of them
nice.
are. It's like people asking you, "What's your favorite child?"
Yeah,
Who's your
yeah.
favorite child? I can't tell you. I like this one more than the others. Some were tougher than others, but in the end, it was just my writing and myself putting it on paper, and with that responsibility that others are going to read you. So it's just the same way for all of them.
And you wrote a best-selling book in Spanish. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Yeah, I wrote it 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Wow.
I took it out 2 years ago.
Okay.
This is the book. It's Pasión de Vida, which now I'm going to have it in English as well. But I wanted to do it in Spanish for my daughters because it has to do with recipes in the family that were handed, you know, from generations to generation or from friends. I said, Laura, you're busy. Because when I was a journalist, I had migraine headaches and I had two
Oh.
babies. And so my friend told me, Laura, you should become a yoga teacher. And I'm like, oh, yoga? Okay, I've never considered that, but let's do that. So I became a yoga instructor as well. And so that calmed me down to be able to continue my career, my family with my children, and my writing. Pasión de Vida was written 15 years ago, basically to let my daughters know you have to maintain your Spanish, you have to maintain your main language, and also the recipes that we've learned through time with my grandparents from Spain, my parents from Cuba, my family in Canada, in Colombia, my husband, you know, and from London. So that's what this book is about. Pasión
It's
de Vida.
available. It's available on Amazon. People can
On
buy it.
Amazon. Yeah,
Okay,
it is on
great.
Amazon. Now it is on Amazon and Kindle. But I'm going to
Kindle.
have the
Okay.
hard copy and soft copy in I think my editor told me in October. We're
And
gonna put it out. Yeah,
and it's going to
yeah.
be in English in October. It's going to
No,
be
it's gonna be in
okay.
Spanish
Okay.
because the
Okay.
English one is not ready yet, but it will
Okay.
be,
Okay.
I believe, by December. I believe by
Okay.
December.
Wow. So that's coming up. So you have a busy fall.
It better be because it's been years already.
Yeah. And you have a second book out too, right? Is
I have, well, this book is the one I helped my mom put out.
okay.
She wrote Principio y Fin, which is beginning and end. It's a cycle of life based on experiences. And so I helped her edit the book and put it out. It's also on Amazon, but she has the hard copies.
Nice.
Yeah, so this is another one. I also have her second book, which is a novel coming out in November. And I have
Okay.
also my husband books, which is a poetry book coming out in December.
And you're editing these books or you're
I
helping
am
them write
editing.
them?
Yeah, these books I'm editing. Yeah. Yeah.
Great, great. And how is it different to be a writer than an editor?
Completely different. When you are a writer, you have no fear. When you are a writer, you just move on and you go within, go inside and put everything out that you have inside. When you're an editor, you have to start thinking, oh, I want to change this. Oh, no, I can't. Or this person wrote it this way, but I would have written it this way. So when you're an editor, you have to be clean in the sense of allowing each person, each writer to say whatever they have to say in whatever way they want to say it, whether you like it or not. So that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And with your press that you started, what other books is it like a family affair right now? Is it mostly
No,
books from you and your
no,
family?
no. I started the Camino Press because
Uh-huh.
I walked the Camino de Compostela. I don't know if you're familiar with it. In Spain, it's a pilgrimage. Out of the thousands of pilgrimages around the world, I did the one of 8 in Spain. So I did that in 2019, and I walked for 45 days to Santiago de
Wow.
Compostela. And so that Camino word, it's also in my Spanish podcast. So I'm like, oh my God, this word. And then I do the Camino from Shirley MacLaine's book that my dad gave me when I was 14. And I promise one day I'm gonna do the Camino. If you haven't seen it, read it. It's awesome.
Okay. Great,
So
great.
Shirley MacLaine, you know, the actress. So I did my Camino in 2019. And then later on, I continued after the pandemic, you know, having my podcasts and learning things online and all this. And I'm like, wait a second, I have so much work here. Let me just put it all together in my press, my own press. So let's do
Yeah,
the Camino press.
great.
So
And
there you
what
go.
tell me about your podcast too.
Life with purpose. Life with purpose. The idea came from my students. I started teaching in 2013 to different universities in Miami, FNU and Miami International Arts and MIU. Miami International Arts and something. They closed already, unfortunately.
Oh,
But FNU prepares the students for medical school. So I was teaching at both universities, and life with purpose came along because a lot of my students, they were busy, they had families, they wanted to study but they couldn't, they had tears every day and they were late, and I'm like, okay, you're having a life with purpose, realize that. So that came from a long time ago, and I'm like, okay, let me tell people that life has a purpose, whether however way that look, whatever color it has, life has a purpose. You just have to find the way to find your own purpose. So everything started with life with purpose like that. Yeah, and I have a book coming out on that too, but not yet, not until next year.
Okay, so talk about it then. So you live in beautiful Pacific Palisades, California. Do you come back to South Florida sometimes? How
All
often are
the
you back here?
time,
Yeah.
all the time, because I still have my house there.
Oh,
I still,
nice. Okay. Okay.
yeah, in South Miami.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. And how has South Florida Writers Association helped you out?
Oh,
Has it been a
amazing.
help for you?
Amazing, amazing. Every time they're really good with emails and answering right away. And that's how you have to look when you deal with different groups of people. They're all different and everybody has a different agenda and everybody works in a different way. I have like friends and some students is phone, 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 phone all the time. My daughters, phone, phone, phone all the time. Other people is just emails, and they don't care about social media that much, or they don't care about phones that much. And other people is actually writing, sending you postcards, and I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see this, and I saw this in South Florida Writers Association. You saw people from different ways of life doing different things, and there's no room there to criticize anything because everything is beautiful. It depends on what lens you look at these things, no. But I've been it's been amazing. Holly's been amazing,
Great.
all the time. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, you did a good advertisement for it. Um,
Oh,
so
I
tell
didn't
me,
mean
tell,
to. It's from my
no, it's
heart.
good. It's good. It's
It's from
good.
my heart, I swear.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. No, those are the best kinds of advertisements from your heart. Um, so tell me, you're writing, you're working on a book now. What's your writing process? Do you wait till you're motivated? Do you make sure you have a time every day you write?
Um, this thing that some people say that you have to be inspired to write and you have to find the right thing, the right moment and the right environment. It doesn't work for me. I have writing inside of me all the time. And if it were for me, I would be writing all the time, 24/7. I understand that for some people they might need to get inspired or get a specific topic to write about. Maybe also because I'm a journalist, I always had to be like thinking ahead of time.
Hmm.
I'm working on this story today, but then next week I have to work on 5 more stories that have to deal with these contacts and these people. So, so maybe because of that, I'm always like, you tell me, sit down now and write about this, and I sit down and write about this. I'm not going to tell you how long, how much, maybe just 1 page or maybe 50, but that's how I feel about writing. I don't think that writing is a stone in the way.
Do you have any writers that inspire you that have influenced you?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I do. And even though I've written a lot in English and Spanish and French and Portuguese a little bit, the Spanish writer that passed away in 2019, Carlos. Oh my God, I forget his last name now. Carlos, I forget his last name now, but I'll send it to you.
Okay.
He's amazing. He is amazing with his stories about Barcelona, Spain, and he takes you from 15th century to the 19th century and back again to the 13th century, and he intertwined these stories in such a way that oh my God, I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to do that. So yeah, he's been one of the, and I even gave him to my mom. I'm like, you have to read this guy, and she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And one day she did, and she I think she's written already. She's read already like 3 of his books. It's got like 5 or 6, but he passed away sadly like at 57 or something like that. Yeah.
And he's young, and his writing is only in Spanish, or is it in English too, or is
No,
it
it's in
translated?
English too.
It's
I
in
know
English.
that
Okay.
I think
Okay.
he's translated most of his books. He used to live here in California, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you feel are the differences as a writer in California as in Miami? Are there any differences for you as a writer?
Not for me.
No.
Not for me. For me, it's just, the things that I see in Miami. I see the beach. The people are different. Here I see the mountains, a different kind of beach. The Pacific, whales. I see a lot of animals.
Oh, wow.
In terms of in terms of that, yeah. When I'm going to describe something, I'm like, oh, now I have this to use. But in terms of me, I think that I'm the same.
Great. And is there anything else we haven't talked about that you'd like to discuss with the viewers?
Not really. If anybody needs to my help with editing books, I'm more than happy to help through Camino Press, the Camino Press. My books are coming out. I'm also a tutor, so if anybody has a child that needs some tutoring, I also do that online. I do online tutoring and in person. And other than that, I just want to continue writing and publishing.
Are you
And
still
but
teaching yoga as well? Are you still teaching yoga?
I'm not teaching right now because it's
Okay, okay.
too much.
Too much.
I,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's too much because also to teach yoga, you have to set up your class, and it's going to be like this today. And my classes are an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's not like 40 minutes and let's just do a little
Intense.
stretching and that's it. It's the actual, from beginning to end, meditation and relaxation and shavasana and all that. So and stretching all the muscles. So yeah, I don't have time to
Great.
do that. I wish
No,
I
no,
could.
no.
Not right now. Yeah. Yeah. I used
Yeah.
to in Miami. I used to in LA Fitness in Miami. I used to teach there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I'm very bad at yoga, but I've noticed the last couple times I've done yoga, it helped me with my writing, so I can see how it helps out.
Definitely. That's how it started. Like I said, that's how
Yeah.
I started. Thanks to my friend Lourdes. She's like, I'm like yoga. No, I'm a Catholic. I can't do yoga. She's like, that has nothing to do with anything. I'm like, what do you mean it has nothing to do with anything? Well, I got into yoga. I love my teacher Rosella that I've had for I don't know for all this time. And she's amazing. And one thing has nothing to do with the other. It's basically just to center yourself so that you can do the things that you want to do and also physically to help your body, not to gain weight, not to have headaches, to be calm and relaxed. So absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, Laura, thank you so much for the time.
Oh God, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so good to meet you.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. I have to bring you to my podcast at some point. You gotta let me know when you're
That
ready.
that that'll be fantastic. Yeah, hopefully you'll do better with technical difficulties than I did.
I don't know. It depends. All right,
Okay,
my
I'm gonna.
pleasure. And thank you to the South Florida Association, Writers Association, for everything they've given me and me
Great.
and my mom for these past 2 years, 3 years,
Oh,
4 years. I don't know.
well, maybe they'll have your mom as a guest when her book comes out.
Okay, already.
Yeah.